Okay, so now we've got a curve here and we're going to sew the curve together, and you'll see that it's an uneven curve. So what we've done to make it easier for ourselves is we've actually given ourselves some balance notches. So these are notches like on armholes and necklines and things that just help the two bits of fabric sew together in the right place. So we've got two single notches there, two single notches there, and a double notch there. And the reason that we've got the double notches on this end is because it's not actually a symmetrical curve. And if you see, like if we didn't have the double notches to tell you, you could flip it over and you could try and sew it the wrong way. Okay, so that just helps with the shape of the curve. All right, so always sew with the concave curve on top. That's the one that goes in, and we're going to flip the piece over. And when we line this up, always remember that you need to line up the actual stitch lines. You don't line up the raw edge, because if you lined up the raw edge when we started stitching, and you'll see how far the notches are out there. So if we move this up, so we've actually got the 1 centimeter stitch line sitting on top of the 1 centimeter stitch line, and the notches actually match up. And so the notches help you in regard to getting your seam allowance correct as well. Okay, so we're going to, oh, and then we'll work our way around. So we're going to do it in section by section. So we'll work from these two notches to the center two notches to the back double notches to the end. And if you find as you're going around that this inside edge is a little bit tight, you can clip in a couple of times, but make sure you don't clip more than about 1/2 centimeter in. Certainly don't clip back to the actual stitch line. So now I'm lining up my notches here, and I've got my 1 centimeter there. Put that under the foot, and I'll start with a back tack, as per usual, because it's the start of the seam. And we're just going to sew, as I said, sew to the first notches, and then we'll set ourselves up for the next section. So we've got the next two notches there. Now it's important to make sure that your raw edges stay together as we go around these curves, and keep your 1 centimeter. This calico seems to be stretching quite nicely around these curves. So I haven't had, although this one here, I might actually put in a few little clips just to release the tension and to make sure that when we get to our back double notches here, that they actually come together nice and evenly. So just keep an eye on the notches. And so see, we're working from section to section, and now we've got to our double notches. We want to work down to the end of our seam, and you'll see there's that same step there, and that's because it's 1 centimeter from the raw edge to the actual stitch line. So just hold that together and continue working around, and back tack at the end, and we've sewn our seam. And you'll see when I open that up, it's a nice curved seam. And what you'll also find too when you go to overlock this and press this is that the seam will actually want to sit in towards your concave curve. So that's another point where if it's not sitting back nice and flat, you can actually then still put a few more snips in here just to make the fabric open up and sit back. But now we'll just overlock along that edge there. Okay, so we've got our curved seam here, and you can see that I've given it a nice press so that it's sitting nice and flat. And I haven't had to clip in because of the calico fabric. I haven't had to clip in any more than I did originally to make that edge sit flat. And now we just want to overlock the edge. So pull the two right sides back together. So we're just working with the seam allowance. Lift your foot up. Position the material so the raw edge again is sitting just on the blade. We're not cutting off any fabric as we go around the curve. And again, we'll just do it section by section. So start sewing and then position the next section of fabric. So just work bit by bit, and keep a really light weight on the actual pedal of the overlocker, so you don't, if you push down, it'll go out of control. We'll just run off the edge and snip both edges. And there's our overlock seam, and you can give that another press if you need to. And we're done.